Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, please don't forget to click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest Star Trek Discovery news on YouTube. Today we're talking about the promo photos that have just come out for episode 9 of Star Trek Discovery Season 3 entitled Terra Firma Part 1. So we're going to have a look through all of these photos and see if we can learn anything new about this week's upcoming episode of Discovery. So let's start off with the synopsis for this episode, and it reads as follows. In Terra Firma Part 1, the USS Discovery crew journey to a mysterious planet in hopes of finding a cure for Georgiou's deteriorating condition. Stamets and Adira make a stunning breakthrough with the newly acquired burn data. Interesting. So we've been teased over the last few weeks with this new information they have of the burn, from whether it be Burnham's black box flight recorders that she's been gathering up, or this more recent data they've uncovered from the SB-19 thing from the Navarans or Romulo Vulcans, whatever you want to call them. So hopefully in this episode we're going to get a bit more of a juicy chunk of info about the burn. So let's take a look at these production photos from the episode and see what we can learn. So for starters, we've got a shot here of Tilly and Saroo. Looks like on the bridge or in a corridor of Discovery. Tilly's adopted a maybe a little bit of extra gravitas since she got bumped up to number 1. She's in the past been a bit quirky and a bit flighty, so forth, but yeah, since Saroo gave her that bump up, she seemed to have a bit more of the way she carried herself was a little bit more grandiose than in previous episodes. She's obviously worked out that if she's going to take on this job as number 1, she's got to carry herself with a little bit of a taller stature than she perhaps previously had, and make an effort not to be so I guess quirky and flighty, but hopefully they won't take too much of that element out of the character, because that's kind of what Tilly is. And it sort of looks like in this photo here, she's definitely holding herself in a little bit more of a authoritarian posture than we might have seen Tilly in the past. In our next photo, we've got Saroo, Tilly, Stamets and Adira all looking at similar recordings to what they were looking at in last time's episode, where they were unlocking the different kind of musical configurations, and they'd worked out that it was a Federation distress beacon that was trapped inside this nebula where the burn originated. I'm guessing that they're going to maybe get a bit more information of this. There's been a lot of speculation in the comment section of my video in terms of the nebula and so forth that they're looking at. In data like this, they're saying the origin of the burn was from within inside a nebula, and it's a Federation distress beacon. I wonder, based on a few comments back and forth that you guys have been suggesting in the comment section of my videos over the course of the last week or so, that this might in some way link back to the short trek Calypso, where the Discovery was trapped in a nebula for 1,000 years or whatever. So I wonder whether they're going to work out that the distress call from this Federation starship will in some way turn out to be the Discovery. Now, images of the Discovery that were shown in the short trek Calypso, the Discovery was the original Discovery. It wasn't the Discovery A, as it's kind of now been converted to with the whole detachable nacelles and a bit of an upgrade from the 32nd century. So yeah, how this might connect to Calypso, if it indeed does, is kind of going to be an interesting point of note, because, well, I guess it can't be the present Discovery if that's the case, because it's not the upgraded version. So we will no doubt see if this does play out how we perhaps suspect it might. Looking at the display screen here, we've got the different wavelengths, the musical notes and the musical configurations, comparing it to the cello music, the Barzan lullaby, and also the distress call from the nebula there. Hopefully we get some new leads and so forth, but based on the synopsis, it seems like we are going to. In our next shot, we've got Adira looking at the wavelengths or the stats from the Verubin Nebula, which is where the signal came from. In our next shot, we've just got a shot of Adira looking towards the others. He looks a little bit worried in this photo. I wonder whether the information they've unlocked from the burn data suggests something quite troubling. In our next shot, we've got Saroo and Burnham and Georgiou, and now it looks like they're rugged up and ready to go to this icy, snowy planet. We saw in the trailer that they're headed to a frozen planet. In some way, this planet is going to link to a possible cure. We know that Georgiou is experiencing all of these medical issues and blackouts, and because she is not only a time traveler, but she's also an interdimensional time traveler. So apparently, as we talked about in the sneak peek scene and the trailer, if you haven't seen my video that talks about that and breaks those things down, click on the link up here. And you can check that video out. It would seem that in some ways they've journeyed to this frozen planet, in some way meant to help Georgiou's condition out. We know what's going on with her medically now, but how their journey to this frozen planet is going to assist her. Maybe there's some sort of, I don't know, cave with some time crystals in it, or something they can use to get her back to either her own time or her own dimension, based on the fact that we know that there's a Section 31 series in the planning which features Philippa Georgiou. It seems we have to get her back to the 23rd century, because I don't think that series takes place in the Terran Empire, in the Mirror Universe, so I'm guessing they've got to get her back somehow. So I'm not sure how they're going to do that, since Burnham sent the Red Angel suit, whether she self-destructed it or whatever she did in the first episode, but I know they don't have the Red Angel suit anymore. So there's probably going to be some means of maybe an old base from back in the Temporal Wars or something. Maybe they have to unlock some old hidden facility that was used during the Temporal Cold War, perhaps, to get her back to her own time, i.e. the 23rd century. In our next shot, we've got Georgiou locking and loading this new 32nd century phaser. We're not sure we've seen these in action before. We've seen a lot of other weaponry and so forth used this season, mostly those sort of wrist-mounted donut phasers. Now got the new upgraded 32nd century phasers, so it'll be cool to see how they work, whether they're going to be projectile-based or whether they're going to be beam-based, like the old phasers from Archer's time, or even Kirk Spock's time, or even the Next Generation, you know, with the Type 2 phasers. Star Trek phasers historically have always been kind of, you know, beam-based weapons, but in recent incarnations of Star Trek, we've seen more projectile-based weaponry. It's sort of taken more of a page out of the sort of Star Wars type book, you know, with energy bolts rather than beams. So I wonder whether these new Federation phasers are bolt-based or beam-based phasers. And we've got Georgiou and Burnham. Looks like they're all rugged up and ready to go on their away mission, wherever that happens to be, to find out something or some means of getting Georgiou into a situation where she can get herself back to her own time and solve all of the medical issues that's going on with her. And I wonder whether we're going to find out a little bit more info on her flashbacks too, whether she's having dreams about this San, who's this character that looks a bit like Black Panther, who's been stabbed with a dagger back in the Terran Empire. Whether we're going to get a bit more backstory about this part of Georgiou's life as well would be interesting to find out about. We've got a shot of Culber, grin on his face. I wonder whether this is part of the scene that he's talking to Kovic, or whether it looks more uplifting based on his expression in this. So whether they've got a lead medically to treat her and he's quite happy about it. Culber looks like he's reasonably happy with himself. So we've got some perhaps good medical news to deliver in this episode, rather than some bad medical news. And there are our new promo photos for episode 9, Terra Firma. Are you excited about this episode coming up? It's obviously going to be a two-parter, being Terra Firma labelled part 1. So there's going to be a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of this one. What are your theories about how they're going to solve Georgiou's predicament? Are they going to send her back in time? What are they doing on this frozen planet? It links quite well, I think. If this is the last time we're going to see Georgiou, the fact that it's on a frozen planet with her and Burnham is quite a nice bookend to Georgiou's journey, based on the fact that in the first episode of season 1, it was Georgiou and Burnham on the desert planet, and now we've got Georgiou and Burnham on the frozen planet. It will certainly be a nice bookend to have that symmetry there between these two characters. But let me know what your thoughts are. Guys, as always, please don't forget to like, to comment, to share, to subscribe. Check out my merch page. Got a couple of new designs in there this week, so they're good to have a quick look at. And if you want to delve a bit deeper into the Sci-Finatics YouTube channel, see some behind the scenes videos, some members only videos, get some cool avatars and some cool emojis and stuff to use in chats and comment sections, then click on that join button to see how you can become a bit more involved in the channel. And guys, I'll be back in a few days' time with my review and breakdown of episode 9, Terra Firma Part 1. I'll see you then.